So, for today's podcast, we're doing another look at our student athletes here in the EVSC that we're very proud of. So, we have two very special guests joining us today. Lili Greenfield, you are a senior at Reitz High School. And then Jack Jones, you are a junior at North High School. So, first of all, thank you both for taking the time to come down here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. I know you're stepping out of school, so I know that takes a little extra time and effort, so we really do appreciate this. So let's just talk about what you've been involved with in school, because these are great conversations to have, especially for students that might be listening and think, that's really interesting. I might want to do something like that. So, Lili, we're going to start with you. So you are a wrestler at Reitz High School.
Yes.
And I am sure I'm not the first person to ask you to say, tell me about female wrestling and what that's looked like. Because I think a lot of people hear wrestling and they just assume you're talking about boys, but I know you're a great example of a very successful student wrestler who happens to be female. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started wrestling my sophomore year of high school. That's kind of when girls started, where it started to grow more, I feel like. But yeah, my first 2 years of high school, I wrestled boys, and then this year it got sanctioned, and the girls' side of things have just grown so much.
Sure.
It's very exciting. So,
and like you said, this is actually your senior year is the first year the Indiana High School Athletic Association has sanctioned girls wrestling as a full-fledged sport in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, very exciting.
So tell us, what was it about wrestling that made you interested in doing it to begin with?
I would say I really enjoyed just learning all about the sport, because there's a lot in the sport to learn about. I feel like it's kind of different than most average sports.
There's so many techniques,
yes.
right? I mean, anybody
Very
that's
technical.
not familiar with wrestling who thinks you're just out there and you just start and you see who gains the upper hand on the other wrestler. I mean, there are so many skills and just things you have to master, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I think I enjoyed that the most of the sport. It was just like learning and going through all the different curves and challenges of it.
Absolutely. And then Jack, let's go back to when you got involved in swim. So first of all, talk to us about what events you've been involved with in swim.
So I mainly do long distance swimming. So in high school,
what does that mean? What's that look like?
Long distance in high school ends up being 200-yard freestyle, 500-yard freestyle, and 400-yard free relay.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there for people that aren't familiar with this. If you're thinking a competition-sized swimming pool for your longest event, how many times back and forth is that?
So 500 is 20 laps. So that's going down. Each time going down is one lap, and then back's another lap. So 10 down and backs.
Okay. And then now, have you done diving, or you've stayed on the swimming side?
Just swimming.
Okay. And of those different events, which one do you like the most? What's your preference? Which one do you think maybe you're the best in?
Preference would be 500-yard freestyle. I'm a good endurance swimmer and like to train that especially.
Sure. And then if you could tell us, when you say freestyle, what do you mean by that?
Freestyle, now it's a sanctioned stroke to basically anything you do is allowed in it. There's no specific specification of it, but the standard of what everyone's decided is the fastest way to do it is when you have your arms doing one at a time with a flutter kick behind you, just kick legs bouncing up and down. Okay.
So again, when you talk about freestyle, Jack, you have the ability then to kind of modify and do the stroke however you feel like you're going to be the fastest.
Yes. So freestyle is one of basically the only stroke you can really make major adjustments to look. Everyone's stroke in a race might look completely different in the way that their tempo is based, the way that how long they're holding out in front, but it all has the ability to be altered for your preference.
Okay. Lili, I want to come back to you with wrestling. So again, first part of your career, you were wrestling boys, and now this year you were on the girls' side of it. Anything stand out as far as what made it more challenging, one versus the other?
I would say the boys were definitely more challenging, only because for me personally, I was still learning the sport, but I know there's plenty of girls who do great things in the boys' side of things. But this year it was definitely a different season for me, but nonetheless it was a special season because I know that these next few years, I think the girls' side of things are just going to continue to get more and more competitive.
Sure.
And I'm just excited to see that. So yeah.
And of course, whether you're wrestling girls or earlier boys, you're in the weight class where you are with similarly sized
Yes.
individuals.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lily, then I want to hear a little more about, and I know people don't like to brag on themselves, but you've been very successful. So tell me about this year, the successes you had as a wrestler.
Yeah. So my season, I think I ended up going 30-7. Made it to
30-7.
the state finals again, which last year I did, but I just didn't end up placing. But yeah, this year I was able to place 5th, which was a really good accomplishment. Felt good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so back-to-back state appearances with wrestling.
Yep.
Wow. Jack, let's hear about your successes because I know you too have won several individual titles. Tell us about some of them.
So I won city champion in 500-yard freestyle and 200-yard freestyle. And then we had our conference meet 3 weeks ago, and I was champion at 500-yard freestyle.
Wow. That is fantastic as a junior then. And tell me about this because both of you, of course, highly successful at your individual sports. What do you attribute that to? Jack, we'll start with you. For you to say to win a state, a city, or a district championship, what does that take in swimming in particular?
In swimming, it takes a lot of grit and working hard because we are practicing every single day, and most of us that are at the top of the sport practice every single day of the whole year. Or we have club swim when we are in high school swim. But really what motivates you to keep going is the family atmosphere we have at practice. Now, we have a group of people that are very much bonded together. We're one family that work together, and we push each other to get iron sharpen iron. We get better by constantly competing against each other in practice every day.
Wow. Well said. Lily, what about you? What do you attribute your success to? What's it take to be successful in wrestling?
For me this year, I really had to learn to adapt and change my mindset this year. I think my last 2 years I kind of struggled with that, but this year once I was able to kind of like really just believe in myself that I have the ability to do what I want to do. That took me a lot farther than I think any of the practices or work that I was.
So the focus
putting
and the mental approach,
Yeah,
big part
definitely.
of being a
Yeah.
successful wrestler.
Mhm.
And tell me about the training regimen too, because I know maybe if people aren't familiar with wrestling, they always say it's a sport that can wear you out in a matter of minutes
Yeah.
because it is so intense. So what does it take on the conditioning side to put yourself in a position to be a successful wrestler?
Definitely, like you said, kind of like your teammates, having good competition in the room, being able to push yourself in practice is how you want to wrestle at your match is how you need to wrestle in practice. So my Coach Ferguson, he always says to just make sure that you're leaving practice 1% better than you were yesterday. So
Okay.
that's something that I kind of follow.
And what about the training, the conditioning side of it? A lot of running involved, right?
More of like sprints running, yeah, that stairs, lots of live practice, and basically, yeah,
Okay.
those sorts of things.
Jack, because you're a junior, I want to go back to for you as far as next year, your senior year. What's your goal as far as being a high school senior next year in swim?
My goal as a high school senior next year really going to be about the same as I'm at this year. So my goal right now, we have sectionals in next Sunday. Yeah, or next Saturday we have sectionals. And my goal then this year is to win sectionals. And next year my goal is to, with winning sectionals this year, hopefully have a chance to win it again next year and then compete well at state then next year.
Okay.
So get my first touch at state this year and then get to really compete next year.
Okay. And you feel confident at this stage of the entering the postseason now as far as what you're going to look like heading into the sectional championships?
Yeah, I think we had a good season of work so far, and we're going into this last 2 weeks to bringing it down and getting ready to have some good fast racing next week.
Okay. Both of you, I want you to touch on this because you both talked about the importance of that team environment, both on the swim side and on the wrestling side. So we always envision that we have younger students listening to these, and it's a great opportunity for them to learn. So whoever wants to start first, Lily, we'll start with you. What would your advice be, and what would you say to younger students who are considering getting involved or who may be on the fence about getting involved in activities in high school?
Yeah, I think if you're definitely interested in it or if that's your thing, then definitely get involved with school and school sports. I think just the most important thing that I have valued this year is just the team that I have, and you make a lot of great memories that I think you'll take with you out of high school. So
Sure. Jack, what about you? Advice for you?
I'd say you don't have to be worried about going into it's a scary thing going to join your first team in high school, but I was just being from the swim side, but I'm sure all the teams are like this. We're all different families within our team. They're going to take you in for who you are and what you are. You don't have to try to be a different person than what you are. You can be who you are and you'll be accepted as that family that you're joining.
Okay, great advice. And then last question for both of you. Jack, we'll start with you first. I know you're a junior, but looking ahead, what are your plans after high school? Not trying to rush you through your senior year, but just looking ahead, do you have an idea about what you would like to do?
So I plan to study aerospace engineering when I go to college. And the whole part of what college I want to go to is still largely up in the air because I plan on swimming in college. So
Okay.
I had to plan between different college coaches and whatnot.
So swimming definitely part of your
Yes.
future after high school.
Certainly so.
Okay, great. And Lily, what about you? What are your plans since you're a senior for next year?
yeah, I definitely want to wrestle in
Okay.
college. Right now, I'm also still on the fence about picking the college. It's a difficult process. There's a lot of opportunities and options out there, which is a good thing. But I plan to major in exercise science and then go down like a physical therapy route with that.
And it is such a complicated, big decision for you. What are some of the factors you're looking at as you try to weigh your options?
Yes. So academic wise, I want to choose somewhere that I think I'll be able to learn well in and have good just support from
Sure.
right. Yeah. And then wrestling wise, like good team chemistry, I would say, fitting in with the team, but also something that's gonna like push me, kind of get me out of my comfort zone.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, appreciate both of you for coming down today. Lily, again, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
back-to-back state appearances and then placing fifth this year in the state girls wrestling finals. What an outstanding accomplishment.
Thank you.
And Jack, congratulations on everything you've accomplished. Best of luck to you as you and your teammates entering swim sectionals coming up. And then we hope you have a great rest of this year and a great senior year next year as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Pleasure talking to both of you. Thanks again.
Thanks.